Lesson 9.7, Independent and Dependent Events. When one event does not affect the outcome of another event, the events are independent events. For example, if you toss a coin twice, the first toss has no effect on the second toss. So again, independent events where one does not affect the other. So finding the probability of independent events. The probability of two independent events can be found by multiplying the probability of the first event by the probability of the second event. So if we look at example A, a game requires players to roll 2 number cubes to move the game pieces. The faces on the cubes are labeled 1 through 6. What is the probability of rolling a 2 or 4 on the first cube and then rolling a 5 on the second cube? Okay, so first what we need to figure out is the probability on the first roll. So we want to roll a 2 or a 4. So we know that there's 1 2 and 1 4 on a dice, so the probability of rolling a 2 or a 4 is 2 out of the 6 possible. And then times, we want to know what is the probability of rolling a 5. Well, there's 1 5 out of the 6. So we have 2 6 times 1 6. So again, when we multiply, we can multiply straight across. So 2 times 2 is 1. 6 times 6 is 36. So we have a 2 out of 36 chance. Again, when we work with fractions, you always have to simplify. So we can divide a 2 out of both. So it would be 1/18. So we would say the probability of rolling a 2 or 4 and then rolling a 5 would be 1 out of 18. Okay? Probability of dependent events. If two events, A and B, are dependent, then the probability of both events occurring is the product of multiplying the probability of A and the probability of B. Okay? So, if an outcome of one event affects the outcome of another event, the events are called dependent events. For example, you have a bag of blue and green marbles. You pick one marble and do not replace it. And then you pick another one. Okay? So dependent, one depends on the other one. So we took out a marble, we didn't replace it. We do not replace it. It affects our probability. So if we turn over to example B, it says refer to the situation above and find each probability. Okay? So there are 4 oranges, 7 bananas, and 5 apples in a fruit basket. He selects a piece of fruit at random, and then Terrence selects a piece of fruit at random. Find the probability that 2 apples are chosen. Okay, so they did that for us. So again, once we take we have to think, do we have independent or dependent events? Well, if we take a piece of fruit out and eat it, we're not putting it back. So that's going to have an effect on our second pick. So this is a dependent event. So we want to know what is the probability of 2 bananas. Okay, so first of all, we need to figure out what is the probability of picking a banana. Well, there's 7 bananas out of our 16 total pieces. Okay, because we had 4 oranges, 7 bananas, and 5 apples. Now, we're going to take that times, we're going to pick out another banana. But this time, we've already picked out 1. So we don't have 7 left. We now have 6 bananas left. And since we took 1 out of our bowl of fruit, we don't have 16. We now have 15. Okay, so in a dependent event, the first affects the second. So since we picked out a banana, our probability has now changed. So once we have our 2 probabilities, we go ahead and multiply them. So again, multiply straight across. So we have 42 over 240. And we always simplify our fractions. So this simplifies down to 7/40. So we have a 7 out of 40 chance that we will pick 2 bananas. Okay? And then what is the probability of picking an orange, then an apple? So first, I'm going to find the probability of picking out an orange. Well, I have 4 oranges out of the 16 total. And then times, now, just because I picked an orange out, that doesn't affect the apples. So we still have 5 apples. But we did take an orange out, so we don't have 16 anymore. We now have 15. Okay? So we had a 4 out of 16 chance to get an orange. Now we have a 5 out of 15 chance to get an apple. So since we have our 2 probabilities, we go ahead and multiply. So we'd have 20 over 240, and that simplifies down to 1/12. So we have a 1/12 chance of picking an orange then an apple. So again, an independent event is where one does not affect the other. Dependent is where your first event affects the probability of your second event.